On this podcast, I don't get twisted up about card trimming. You'll hear no sad soliloquy against shill bidding. I bear no resentment towards repacks. I don't get bent out of shape over breakers. I got no feelings about fractionalization. I shall not foment opposition to fanatics. I seldom feel giddiness when it comes to grading companies. Admittedly, I have a hard time forgiving and forgetting fraudulent figures. You know who they are. I like to leave all of that to the hobby herd. It's just fun to talk about cards, and there's others who can cover all those other topics better than I. I do want to talk about something extremely important, an issue that I choose to focus on today because it rises above all those other petty disagreements. It is an issue with competing narratives. It is one with multiple claims. It is one in which has beaten up every last one of us. Perhaps only the heartbreaking, interminable conflict between Israelis and Palestinians can compare to the struggle between those who stand firmly in support of Van Halen with David Lee Roth and those who ride or die with Van Halen and Sammy Hagar. Perhaps I am just lost to the struggle. Perhaps I cannot escape my tribal affiliation, but I know for me, the one and only true Van Halen is Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Come on, David Lee Roth, Van Halen crushes Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. Van Hagar had plenty of commercial success. Oh, yes, they did. OU812, before that, 5150. After FUCK, for unlawful carnal knowledge, plenty of commercial success, and I listen. Hagar is an outstanding musician, a far more successful solo career both before and after Van Halen, but as a frontman, as a lead singer, come on. It's David Lee Roth's charisma and kung fu kicks all day, every day. Give me Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Drop a comment if you agree, or better yet, try to talk me off my corner with your Van Hagar Michigas. I'll listen. I'll try to keep an open mind, but if I was a rock star, which should be the litmus for all of us, if I was a rock star, if I was a frontman, who would I want to be? For me, David Lee Roth, man. Come on, I was just having more fun than anyone else in the building. I know he's not the easiest guy to get along with, but what a legendary character. A few years back, I was listening to one of those marathon Joe Rogan podcasts with David Lee Roth as his guest for the whole time. And what a raconteur, man. What a great storyteller. Spent some time in Japan learning the art of making Japanese swords. Amazing. It is David Lee Roth. But super cool. Post-band, in a gap in his solo performing, David Lee Roth became an EMT. He became a paramedic in New York, spent 4.5 years as an EMT. It's on YouTube. Just Google David Lee Roth, Joe Rogan, paramedic. He was a paramedic. Could you imagine, like, you're in the hospital, you look up, you're like, hey, man, you look like David Lee Roth. Yeah, yo, man, I am David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth was a paramedic. Diamond Dave reached down between my legs and the seat back. Oh my gosh. I got a card for you. 1991, Diamond Dave doing a little kick. He's got the leg up, going to do one of his patented kung fu kicks. That is rock and roll to me, David Lee Roth. What's he got? You got cow patterned leathery pants on. Looks like a cow skin, though. Take a look at that close up. What is he wearing? Ah, David Lee Roth, my version of the quintessential lead singer I could never be. Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. I'm your host, Rabbi David Spinrat. This is episode 49, Diamond Dave's Best of 2023. January 31st, 1984, New York City. The MTV 4th Annual New Year's Eve Rock and Roll Ball. OG VJs still at that time, the great Martha Quinn, J.J. Jackson, Alan Hunter, Mark Goodman, of course, and Nina Blackwood. Pee Wee Herman was working the crowd, doing some in-crowd interviews. Musicians, bands include Frankie Goes to Hollywood, UB40, Cyndi Lauper, Peter Wolf, and Joan Jett, and she brought the Blackhearts that night. Always love a chick rocker, man. Hope I don't get canceled for that. But come on, chick rockers are cool. Joan Jett was way cool. A lot of 80s vibe in this MTV New Year's Eve rock and roll ball, including, and why am I talking about him? The guest host with all those other VJs and Pee Wee Herman was none other than David Lee Roth. This December 31st, 1984. The great, the iconic Van Halen 1984 comes out January 9th of 84. So we're talking almost a full year later. And if you know Van Halen, they're struggling at this point. They have commercial success, a huge success in 1984. Jump is still their biggest single. But the band is infighting. David Lee Roth has an ego that is outsized for his rather diminutive frame. He and Eddie are at each other. The band probably what they should have done was just have taken a break. They needed to take some time, but instead they broke up. Or David Lee Roth quit the band. Hagar joined thereafter. Van Halen, different band. David Lee Roth actually goes solo and has a little bit of success. Again, doesn't have the solo career that Hagar has. 1985 releases an EP. If you're watching at home, I'm going to throw up the album cover for you. There it is. Oh, let's bring it back. Crazy from the Heat. He's a good-looking guy, that David Lee Roth. Got the teased blonde hair, kind of jacked six-pack. Love it, man. The big singles on, there's only 4 songs on an EP. A little smaller in diameter, that's what an EP is. And the songs that you would know California Girls, right? He covers the Beach Boys and Just a Gigolo and Everywhere I Go. David Lee Roth, Just a Gigolo. They do the world premiere of California Girls on that New Year's Eve rock and roll ball. So David's doing a little promo for his solo career. I'm going to show you a couple clips from David Lee Roth's California Girls, the first single off of Crazy from the Heat. Remember the setup? He's a tour guide, bunch of different people. Let me start by telling you that there are like racist and misogynist things in this video in 1984, 1985 that would just never get done today. Oh my God. Like, for example, like all the women are like kind of, let's just call them objects in the entire video, including, and he does this like really famous kind of catwalk dance down the boardwalk, and there's women flanking him on each side, and they're gorgeous, one more gorgeous than the next, in little bikinis. These California girls are on the beach, and they're all like just like frozen mannequins. And of course, in the shot I'm showing you, you have a couple of people who look like they're of Middle Eastern or have Arab descent, and they've got like the Arab traditional headscarves, and that actually front next to David Lee Roth wearing his tour guide uniform. Front and center, I don't remember her name, but that woman is the woman who plays Daphne on Frasier. Didn't look it up, I know from just knowing things that have no real life importance. That's Daphne from Frasier. Her big break. David Lee Roth, California Girls. Later on, I'm going to show you Another shot from the video. Oh, there's another scene where the girls are just kind of objectified, but the teased hair on that one behind Diamond Dave is epic. He's this is one to watch on YouTube, right here. Just do yourself a favor and go watch the video. David Lee Roth. All right, so it's in that spirit of David Lee Roth hosting the MTV fourth annual New Year's Eve rock and roll ball that we are going to count down my top 10 for 2023. We got a lot of cars to look at, friends. A lot of goodness, a lot of fun. Kind of tells the story of my year as a collector. At number 10, 1952 Bowman Large Card 117, Pat O'Donoghue. You're like, really? This is your 10th best ad? It's significant. It's important. This card was the last card I added in a 49ers Raw run of the 1950s. I wanted to do a little, that's how you become a collector. You try different things. You see what you like. I am not a set collector. I just don't want masses and masses. And I don't want to buy cards like this one that I didn't really want to have to pay for. This was a hard card to find. Hard kind of find even with this level of centering, which is not that amazing, right? It's a high number. These cards are notoriously miscut and deeply off-center because more or less the same press was used for the Bowman Small and the Bowman Large. This was the last card out of the 105 cards, 1950 to 1959. 105 cards averaged $11.31 per card. Would I do it again? No. Have I moved on to collecting the 1960s 49ers Raw? No. Will I? Probably not. In fact, I've already sold the 49ers team sets 1950, 1951. I did learn a ton about my favorite team. Old NFL history is nothing like baseball's history. We just don't have it in our consciousness. But I got to learn a lot about my favorite team, learn a lot about myself as a collector. I want to show you one more card from that Raw run, 1952 Bowman Large as well. This is the king, the Hugh McElhenney rookie card. They say McElhenney took a pay cut, but he went from the University of Washington to San Francisco. This is such a gorgeous football card. McElhenney, ball tucked under the arm, fingers over the crown of the ball, looking downfield like a matinee idol with that swept up hair. 1952 Bowman Large, the king. Hugh McElhenney. What a backfield that team had. Joe Perry, Hall of Famer. John Henry Johnson, Hall of Famer. Hugh McElhenney, Hall of Famer. Y.A. Tittle, Hall of Famer. 4 Hall of Famers, 1 backfield. Amazing. Coming in at number 10, the 1952 Bowman Large, Pat O'Donoghue. Got me off collecting large sets for sure. Number 9, 1999 Metal Universe PMG Precious Metal Gem Garrison Hearst, showing it here on the screen. I bought this rod just before the National. It's one of those cards that you hope you find at a big show like a National. When it popped up on eBay, it was the first time I'd ever seen this card. I was dabbling for the second time in August of 2022. I dabbled with collecting Garrison Hearst. I tried it again this summer into the fall. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. I'll tell you why. I don't have nostalgia for the 1990s. I know there's a huge segment of the hobby that really feels nostalgic to some of those great later 90s creative releases like the PMG, but I wasn't a collector then. And I feel like when I collect 90s cards, it's borrowed nostalgia. So I've tried to collect Garrison Hearst, tried to collect 90s cards. This is the second time I've tried to do it. I just don't think so. There was a moment this fall where the Garrison Hearst 1998 Fleer Brilliance 24K out of 24 was up. And if you know that Fleer Brilliance set, they only made it for 1 year. The 24K is, I think, the most beautiful gold card ever released in the hobby. a Garrison Hurst card popped up that was the jersey number 20 out of 24. And I bid on it and I went for it. But I realized that I had a limit and somebody else wanted it more. So it was good to learn that lesson because I think I'm off of collecting Garrison Hurst and 90s cards for now. But as is, I actually bought this PMG raw just before the National kind of whetted my appetite. I submitted it to PSA. Just got it back last week, came back as a PSA 8. And I'm very happy to own it. Such a beautiful gold card. Garrison Hurst 1999 Metal Universe PMG. Number 8, a 2020 Panini Obsidian Supernova Electric Edge Blue Finite 1 of 1. This is the only 1 of 1 I added of my Supernovas this year. This is the 7th one I've got out of the 20 card insert set. Added a couple out of 5s. This was the only one I got in the 1 of 1. They don't come up very often. If you know somebody, I'm always on the lookout, man. 2020 Panini Obsidian Supernovas. A die cut. I'm looking for Electric Edge Blue Finite 1 of 1. That is the level of my nerdiness. A guy had this on eBay for like $22,000 at some point. Like, he's kind of in peak hobby thinking. I just said, come on, man. Then he cut it to 16, and then he cut it to 9, and then he cut it to, oh, I lost my camera. You gotta be kidding me. All right, I'm gonna keep talking here. Oh, man. I gotta have my camera. Hold up. Huh. Am I back? I'm back. All right. I'm not starting over. 2020 Panini Obsidian CD Lamb Supernova Electric Catch 1 of 1 coming in at number 8. What's cool about this card is he had it for all that money. He finally just started at a 99-cent auction. It went for many thousands of dollars less than he was asking for it. I got my card. It was a BGS 9. I subbed it to PSA. Actually came back at PSA 10. A rare victory. Number 7, 2019 Absolute Kaboom. Nick Bosa. Also bought this one raw earlier in the year. Subbed it to PSA. Also came back at PSA 10. I got a little Nick Bosa thing going. It kind of whets my appetite for having a card. This is one of the more valuable cards in my Bosa collection. Subbed it, came back, like I said, a PSA 10. I don't know. Not vintage. I think these kabooms are pretty cool. I have a Kittle as well. Number 6, a 1986 Topps Jerry Rice. A card so nice. I've got it twice. The first one, I got it raw. I actually got it from my dad's bestest buddy, Ken Matsuoka. Matt's lifer vendor at the stick. And these were in his belongings. A Jerry Rice rookie card. I subbed it, came back at PSA 4. But tremendously meaningful that this came from Matt's, my daddy's bestest bud, an all-time PC card because of its origin. And then just before the National, when all eyes were on Chicago, there was an 86 Topps Jerry Rice in a PSA 9 that was up for auction, and I think all the attention must have been on Chicago. And I think there's also an anti-old label bias that is, listen, oftentimes is correct. Most of the time, a card that you got a 9 on then is probably come back in 8, a 6, a 5. The grading has changed. So I'm always looking for those new label, lower grade, beautiful cards. Something that looks like a 6 but costs like a 5. This one, though, right, there still are cards that would be a 9 then and a 9 now, and this is one of them. I'm trying to get it without the glare. There we go. Well centered, good color. I'd like to put this in a new label just to clean up the case a little bit, but coming in at a number 6, 1986, the iconic Jerry Rice, that green, so distinct, green with like the white lines, football field. Number 5, a card I would take with me if the house, God forbid, was on fire. It's a 2012 Topps super short print Buster Posey trolley car. Okay, it's a super short print, cool. Okay, it's Buster Posey, future Hall of Famer, favorite team, cool. Why did this card only make the top 10? Why is it in the top 5? Because I was there that day. This was a moment that allowed me to know that I could die happily and peacefully. For although this card was printed for the 2012 set, it was actually taken during the victory parade at the 2010 World Series. I was there. I'm living in Cincinnati. Giants clinch. Right away, we're looking for flights for me to try to get out to the parade. Golf finds one. It's in Indy, an hour and 45 minutes away, but I didn't care. I was going. Flew out, made the parade, got right back on the plane to come home. Unforgettable. You never forget your first time. And this was that moment. This is Buster, a rookie, hanging out of the trolley, holding up the number 1 finger. I mean, this is one of the great moments, not only of my fandom, but it had to be one of the great moments of my life. My dad was there, my brother was there, my auntie, my uncles, my cousin. I guarantee you I was the only person out of the however many people were packing Market Street. I had to be the only person not stoned. Oh my God, man. It was a party going on in San Francisco that day. Epic, epic, epic. Number 4, the 1948-49 Leaf Joe DiMaggio. Love this card. Can't believe it's a 1.5. My good fortune. Beautiful color. Really outstanding. Really, really beautiful surface. This card oftentimes has disgusting registration. But look at that image. Look how deep the green is. Look how clear Joe D's face is. There is a hairline crease in this card that you can't see unless you hold it up just right to the light. But let that be another card lesson to us all, that a card is a technical grade. Doesn't tell you how awesome the card is. It tells you that somewhere there's a very slight crease. There's that, and there's a little crease in the bottom left-hand corner, but we have to look for a defect in a card. Buy the card, not the grade. 1948-49 Joe DiMaggio. This card is made even more special because this card completed the 1984 All-Star Game Master Set. 80 cards, all PSA graded. Bringing up a photo from my man cave on the screen right now. There it is. There are the 80 cards. Top row of the NL starters, starting with Tony Gwynn through the manager Paul Owens. Second row, the American League starters with Whitaker all the way through Joe Altobelli. Next 2 lines with the NL benches, rows 3 and 4, rows 5 and 6, the American League benches. The very bottom row, the 5 coaches, the staffs from the managers in the National League and the American League. Top left-hand corner, that is actually my ticket stub from that day, section 55, way up in center field near the top of the stadium. Just below that, the next 5 cards were the 5 announcers. July 11, 1984 for ABC. You've got Al Michaels in a pro set card. You've got Howard Cosell in an action-packed 1972 Earl Weaver, 1978 Jim Palmer, and a 1960 Don Drysdale. Moving down the left-hand corner, national anthem was sung by Huey Lewis and the News. That's a 1985 Slurpee disc, Huey Lewis and the News. A lot of pop culture on the podcast. One of my favorite cards was when I did a dive into Eddie Murphy, who has a commercial during one of the breaks for the 1984 Mega Bust Best Defense. What I'm showing you there, though, is a Spanish card showing was it 48 horas, 48 hours to see Eddie Murphy rookie card. Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte. Bottom left, a 1990 score called Lights Out, a candlestick remembering the 89 earthquake. Top right-hand corner, we've got my ballot from the game. Next to that, the Carrata Candlestick honorary one was Stu Miller that was passed out. There's my DiMaggio. Below the DiMaggio on the right-hand side, the honorary captains, 1940 play ball Hank Greenberg and a 1969 Willie McCovey are honorary captains. Underneath that, 1935 Diamond Stars Carl Hubble. You know, the way leaning back. He's just such a badass. He and next to him, Stu Miller. Throughout the first pitches, Miller, of course, famously or legendarily was blown off the mound, forcing a balk in the 1961 All-Star game. Below that, commissioner at that time, Bowie Kuhn, outgoing. Next to him, Peter Ueberroth, the incoming commissioner. They were both on the field, got cards of them. One's a Panini of Bowie, and then the tops of Ueberroth. He would take over after the 84 Summer Games. Bottom left-hand corner, 72 tops. Rookie card, Dave Kingman Khan, but not forgotten. He was leading the league in home runs, did not make the All-Star game. In the middle there, that's a Tex Carlton, 1934. Gowdy, Howard mentioned him during talking about a showdown he had with Carl Hubble, and I just thought that was such a beautiful card. Bottom right-hand corner, turns out there were 20 Hall of Famers that day because on the field before the game started was the 1984 Olympian Barry Larkin. That was 87 tops. There it is, the 1984 All-Star Game Master Set, 80 cards, all PSA graded. And the cherry on top, one more time, let me show it. 49 Joe DiMaggio. Oh man, that's a nice card, buddy. It makes me very happy. All right, number 3 on the list. You know, I was super low key at the National, in part because I got that Garrison Hurst PMG just before. In part because that old label Jerry Rice card, well, I bid on it and it went for significantly lower than it was worth. I got a really good deal, and that was right around National time as well. But mostly it's because during the National, it was brought to my attention that my unopened Grail was in an REA auction. An unopened rack pack that was so significant, that is so significant to me that it, you know, for all intents and purposes, ends my unopened pack collecting, because I just don't think I want anything that costs more than what I paid for this. And anything that costs less, not that special. Maybe a 78 Reggie rack. Ever the collector, never say never. But this one, coming in at number 3, recently back from Baseball Card Exchange, BBCE, where it was rewrapped so I could see Montana's face much better and see Clark's face a lot better. It's a 1981 unopened rack pack, BBCE certified and sealed rookie cards of Joe Montana and Dwight Clark. There is no better rack pack than I could ever hope to own. The catch, January 10th, 1982, Montana to Clark. This is something. I let this thing get away from me. One got away summer of 2022, and this one came around. I was not going to miss it a second time. I don't know. I had to have it. Man, this is a good one. All right. Whew. Let's count it down from number 10, that 1952 Bowman Large, Pat O'Donohue, that ended my raw run of 50s 49ers and taught me I am not really a set collector at this time. 1999 Metal Universe PMG Garrison Hurst. Bought it raw, came back as an 8. I tried 90s nostalgia. I've tried it twice. It doesn't, I don't feel it. So kind of brought that more than likely to close. Number 8, I'm getting there on that 2020 Obsidian Supernova set in 1 of 1 or 1 of 5. I got the CD Lamb 1 of 1. Real happy to have that. Number 7, the 2019 Absolute Kaboom. Nick Nosa, my favorite player, playing my favorite position on my favorite team. Good times. It's real good times. Number 6, card so nice I bought it twice. Jerry Rice, 1986 Topps. Uncle Matsy on one, got a deal on the other. Number 5, 2012 Top Super Short Print Buster Posey trolley car. The moment that I will cherish forever. Number 4, 1948-49 Leaf Joe DiMaggio, the cherry on top of my 1984 master set. And just such a cool baseball card. Number 3, the 1981 Joe Montana Dwight Clark unopened BBCE certified rack pack. Something so nice. I don't think I can ever hope to top it. And number 2, my 1952 Topps Willie Mays. I had been working on a maze run, started to feel like work, started to feel like a chore, kind of backed off, but this card I just could not shake. I looked and looked and looked and looked for it. Everything at the National was either overpriced or just plain ugly. I just kind of made peace with it. Thought I would never thought I would never get it. Said, all right, I'm going to let it go for now. I surrendered. I didn't give up, but I gave over. And then this one appeared. It's a PWCCE for exceptional, top 15% PSA 2. But look at the beautiful centering and the color. Grades are just a technical score, so absolutely, yes, it's a 2. Fine. But I am delighted by this card. Threw in a bid, just forgot about it. It was meant to be. What? He didn't come to number 1. Number 2 was Willie Mays. Dave, what did you forget? You counted down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but you didn't give us number 1. You only gave us a number 2. At number 1 in Diamond Dave's Best of 2023 is my PayPal balance. When I look back on the year 2023, the best addition to my collection was the balance on my PayPal. I did some consolidating this year. Sold things that gave me no joy. And when I did, I occasionally took losses for them. Small losses. No loss I couldn't live with. And each and every time I preferred to have the cash than the card. So I have fewer cards. But the cards I have, I like better. I learned how to collect this year. The number 1 addition to my collection in 2023 is my PayPal balance. Because I said no to good cards so I could try to get a great card. I said no to great cards so I could try to get an extraordinary card. That's what I'm going for right now. 1933 Gaudi, card 149, Babe Ruth, the red one. Number 1 for me in 2023 is my PayPal balance. I want fewer cards. I want nicer cards. I want 90% of the financial worth of my collection to be in 10% or less of my collection, and all the rest, either 90%, 10% of the financial worth, so I can still have some mail days coming in. But at the end, I just want a small, beautiful collection. I want to clear out the clutter. I want a collection that makes sense. I want it to be a fingerprint. I want to express why I collect. I love the game within the game. I love the inner journey. I love how collecting helps me get to know myself better. This past year on the podcast has also been a wonderful journey. Started in April and 49 episodes in the can. I started collecting because I had really lost a piece of me. A piece of me that wasn't a husband or a father or a rabbi, but was just Dave, my essential self, my own diamond Dave. And I feel like in a lot of ways, through a hard year, I reconnected to my essential self this year. I reconnected to my essential self and found joy in doing this podcast, going back to 1984 and just diving in, going down little rabbit holes, doing it for me, taking you along for the ride, not getting my feelings hurt, not even a little bit if this is not your cup of tea, because it is for me. I love cracking myself up. I love going into the nooks and crannies and bringing something out to share with you. 1984, such a magnificent year, and we're just getting started. You know, episode 49 has only brought us to the bottom half of the fifth inning. And I haven't even started bringing guests on. I've been talking about doing guests probably for 5 or 6 months, and I have a whole plan to do it, but I just can't execute the plan the way I want to. It's still in development, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm just doing this for joy. It's fun when you come along. I always appreciate when you give me a like and leave a comment. It's cool when you tell me that somebody else introduced you to the podcast. But I would keep doing this even if it was just me in the basement talking to myself, which to me means I am doing this for all of the right reasons. I thank you so much for coming along with me on this ride. I invite you to come along with me as we continue in 2024, marking the 40th anniversary since the 1984 All-Star Game. Had a good time. We're going to keep it going. If it is your path in life and is your wisdom tradition, I wish you a Merry Christmas. And I wish everybody a happy, healthy new year. I'll see you in 2024. Until we meet again, may you be blessed and may you enjoy health and long life. So long for now.